By a quick show of hands, how many of you would like to see an increase in funding for startups? By another show of hands, how many of you know that there's a bill in Congress right now addressing that very specific issue? No one. That is exactly why we created Ballot, to bridge the gap between people and politics. Ballot is a mobile platform where users can go online and learn about policies that are relevant to them. Then with the touch of a single button, they can let their political representatives know exactly how they feel. As users vote more and more, they can create a profile for themselves so that when it's time to vote in the next election, we'll match them with their perfect candidate. What we're doing is a simplification, increased communication, and better polling data for the entire political process. We've already had an incredible amount of success by winning first place at Startup Weekend, and what we ultimately believe is that representatives at all levels should be held accountable for their actions, and that all has to start by bridging the gap between people and politics. Thank you.
Wow. Gentlemen, so I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but you have the big bad wolves fighting over you. So we're going to let our favorite venture capitalists / founders talk to you about why you should be on their team. Doug?
So you're going to go through some interesting challenges regarding scalability, big data processing, and also getting traction in the political organizations for early customer adoption. So at Michigan eLab, we focus on companies like this with big data and big challenges, and we have good connections into the political systems in Michigan to help you get early customers.
Wow, he said that all with a really sincere smile, too. All right, Adrian, you're up.
Is that sincere? Okay. Hi, I'm Adrian. I've built two mobile-centric companies in Sidecar and FlockTag. I understand how to build it from the entrepreneur side and how to do it in a capital-efficient way. On the flip side, so our fund is a large fund for this area. It's a $105 million fund at Mercury. And one of the areas...
He's whipping out his fund size.
Fund size isn't reflective of the actual size, the value you're going to get from the judge when you're looking for feedback.
Is he going to let me finish or not? So
go ahead.
One of our investment themes is bringing new technology to old industry.
All right, gentlemen, who's it going to be?
All right.
Team Doug.
That's okay.
It's not the size of the fund, it's how you use it.
Oh, man, you're done.
Oh, jeez.
So for those of you who don't remember, Ballot is a mobile platform where users can go online and learn about policies that are relevant to them. Users can then vote on legislation and voice their opinion in the democratic process, all the while creating a profile for themselves to match themselves with their perfect candidate. What we're doing is solving the problem around information around legislation, communication with representatives, and a method of self-evaluation for everyday individuals. So we started off with two main hypotheses. The first was that people at some fundamental level care about politics. And the second was that people want to have their voices heard. And what we found was amazing. We interviewed around 110 people that amounted to 750 minutes of customer discovery interviews. 75% of the people that we talked to ultimately did not care about politics. Only 25% of the people that we talked to were actively trying to make a difference in their communities through political and social change. This was disheartening because this completely disproved our initial hypothesis. But we found something far more interesting. 90% of the people that we talked to had at least one issue that they very passionately cared about. Whether it was race, NASA, genetics, high school education, these people were actively trying to pursue solutions in the political and social sphere, contacting their representatives and talking to their friends about these very specific issues. We learned a lot of things through customer discovery, but the most, including finding out what our target customer market was, their race, their gender, their age. But the most important thing that we learned was that we were wrong. People ultimately don't care about politics. People care about issues that matter to them. And the ultimate goal of Ballot shouldn't be to flood users with every bill that goes through Congress, but to bridge the gap between people and politics in a more contextualized and personalized platform for every user. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It's time for our final team, you guys. It's a Doug Neal team. Please welcome Ballot.
Exactly 2 months and 9 days ago, Ballot did not exist. But in the past 2 months, we've done some pretty incredible things. We have about 100 people signed up on our emailing list right now, waiting to get Ballot as soon as we've launched. We've talked to countless organizations to see how Ballot can fit into their organizational structures and how we can push Ballot to their members. For example, we talked to the Houston Center for Literacy, an organization with about 30,000 members, and they were extremely excited to use Ballot and push Ballot to their members and push policies about education to their members. We've also talked to some incredible companies, such as NIC, a $1.6 billion publicly traded company that works with local governments and wants to use Ballot to bring people closer to governments. We've also talked to some incredible people, like the communication director for Congressman Eric Salwell, a representative from the state of California. That's only 3 examples of the dozens of relationships we've built in just the past few weeks, and it's been an amazing experience. But so far, we've only told you about what Ballot is, who we are, and what we've done. We haven't really shown you how Ballot works, but it's time to change that. So right now, I want all of you to take out your phones and text the word ballot to this number right over here. So right now, everyone take out your phones, text the word ballot, and this is gonna run you through a quick 10-second demo of how Ballot works. You can finally see what we've been talking about for so long, and you can finally help us bridge the gap between people and politics. Thank you.
Okay, judges, while everyone's texting and voting for Ballot, or voting with Ballot, Amy, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I heard some great things about relationships, but are those actually customers, or have you bridged that gap yet for customers?
So we went to South by Southwest just last weekend, which is one of the world's biggest business conferences, and we met a lot of these people there, and we're still talking to them right now over email, but one of the first responses that we get from those people when we ask them, when we tell them about Ballot is, when can we have this? When can you build it up? How can we use it? And how soon can we get it up? So it's been a pretty exciting relationship with that, and so ultimately the answer is that once we have something up, they all are very excited to use it.
Adrian?
So if they're so excited to use it, I mean, what are they going to pay you for it? And did you ask them
That's
to
what I
actually
wanted to know.
pay for the development of it?
So which one are you talking about? Because there's a lot of there.
The customers you just said.
So for the organizations, they want to have a platform to host their page and push policies to their members. So we talked with them about hosting a tag for themselves. So for example, Houston Center for Literacy, their tag can be HCL. And we haven't talked about payment, but they were open because they talked about how much money they spend on marketing currently, and that's around about $2,000 a month. They said anything close to that with better results would be perfectly fine with them. But for eGov and NIC, which is the billion-dollar publicly traded company, so for them, it's different because they work with local governments right now. But the problem they face is they build the back end and they build systems for local governments, but they can't get people involved. So we're still talking about with them, how we can bridge that gap for them and bring people into their existing structures. So we haven't figured out the detail of that, but they're extremely willing to work with us to see what we can build together.
Dawn?
So what concerns me about this is that I didn't hear a great answer to Adrian's question, and that you have a lot of complexity in here about, this isn't one of these things where you're going to get tons and tons of people just to sign up for fun. and yet, how do you, if you can't bring these people in to pay substantial amounts, like, $2,000 a month, that's not all that much for marketing, actually. So I'm very concerned about how that actually works out
So we
for
have
you.
2 main revenue streams. One is the interest groups and the organizations that can host pages for whatever amount it is, and then can push policy to their members. So that's the one I mentioned. But the bigger one that we want to focus on is actually pushing data to representatives. So if all the people sign up here, and when we can break down demographics for representatives, so we can say, this age group, this race, this gender votes this way on this specific policy. So we talked to the communication director for Representative Eric Salwell, and she was talking about how it's very difficult for them to gauge what their constituents want, and that's on a federal level. We also talked to Councilman Ken Massey, and he mentioned...
Sorry. Doug, final thoughts on Ballot?
I think everybody just voted for them right now.
Okay, there you go.
But no, I actually I wanted to add one more thing. That is, it's been impressive. For 3 months, you guys have gone from 0 to this, and the amount of hustle and speed is a key important characteristic all entrepreneurs have to have. And it's great to get to do this with a tool that'll change so many students' lives and hopefully our politics as well.
Thank you very much, Ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. Let's have a round of applause for all of our teams and for all of our mentors.